Most homes that sit on the market in Knoxville were not killed by the market. They were killed by a decision that the seller made before the home ever went live. Hey y'all, hey, I'm Chris Ball with Chris Ball Properties and Keller Williams Realty right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And we're the number 4 team in Knoxville by volume, RealTrends Verified. Our sellers on average sell their home for 5% more than they list and in about 31 days on the market. And a big part of why that is simply avoiding the mistakes I'm about to walk you through. Because here's the truth, most sellers learn the hard way. Most selling problems are created before the home ever hits the market. The good news is almost every one of them is avoidable. Today, I'm giving you 7 of the most common mistakes I see Knoxville sellers make and what each one costs and how to fix it. So let's get in. Before the list, one thing to understand is most sellers who struggle, they're not lazy. They work hard at it. They struggle because they're following outdated advice, incomplete strategies, or emotional assumptions instead of clear plans. Selling a home today takes more than putting it on the MLS and waiting. A strong sale needs accurate pricing, strong positioning, professional presentation, and intentional marketing. It also needs easy showing access, clear communication, and a fast response to feedback. Small mistakes early create bigger problems later. A weak price, poor photos, thin exposure, slow responses, or any one of those can cost you time, leverage, and money. Selling, it's not just about finding a buyer. It's about creating the right conditions for the right buyer. So here are the 7 that do the most damage. Mistake number 1 is, of course, overpricing from the start. It is the most expensive one I see. Clients ask me all the time, Chris, shouldn't we price it high so we can leave room to negotiate? No! In reality, it usually does the opposite. Because when a home is overpriced, buyers skip it completely. You get fewer clicks online, limited showings, low interest from buyers, weak feedback, and longer days on the market, which leads straight to the price reductions later on. And remember, those first to 10 days are your strongest attention window. Price too high during that window, and the listing loses momentum before it ever gets a real chance. Then the home sits, and buyers start asking that horrible question. What's wrong with this home? The fix? It's zip. Price it based on current market data, active competition, condition, location, and buyer behavior, not the number you hope to get. Mistake number 2, it's weak online presentation. Most buyers decide which homes they see online before they ever schedule a showing, which means your online presentation is the first show. Low quality photos, dark rooms, clutter, distracted personal items, a weak first image, a generic description with no lifestyle story. Those are the killers. Buyers scroll fast. If your listing doesn't create interest immediately, well, they're on to the next one. In a home, it can be beautiful in person and still get ignored online if the presentation doesn't communicate value. Before you list, make sure your photos are good. Your home feels clean and open and has a description that helps buyers understand both the feature and the lifestyle. Mistake number 3 is treating the listing like an upload instead of a launch. A lot of sellers think selling starts when the home goes online. Wrong mindset. A weak launch looks like rushed photos, incomplete marketing, uncertain pricing, unclear showing instructions, and a home that goes live before it's ready while the seller waits to see what happens. That approach limits exposure. It kills momentum. A strong launch prepares the home, the marketing, the pricing, the showing strategy, the communication plan before the property ever goes public. So you create buyer activity from day one. Treat your listing like a launch campaign, not a data entry tab. And do not go live until your home's. Mistake number 4 is ignoring early market feedback. The market gives you feedback fast. The sellers who ignore it fall behind. Watch for the warning signs, low showing activity, strong online views, but few appointments, repeated buyer concerns, buyer agents saying the price feels, no second showing, no serious offers. Feedback isn't always comfortable, but it's useful. If buyers aren't booking showings, it's issues usually the price, photos, exposure, or your presentation. If they're showing it, but no offers, it's often condition, layout, or pricing, or the perceived value. They love the home, but are still hesitant. The price to value relationship is review the feedback early and objectively, because waiting too long to adjust leads to more days on the market, weaker leverage, and bigger price reductions. This is exactly why I get ahead of the market and we don't. Mistake number 5 is not preparing the home. Buyers notice far more than sellers. The small issues create hesitation. The home doesn't need to be perfect, but it needs to feel clean, cared for. Minor repairs left unfinished, cluttered count, overfilled closets or poor lighting, odors, overgrown landscape, too much personal decor, those all planned down. And because buyers aren't only asking, do I like this home? They're at, what problems am I? When a home feels neglected, buyers assume there are bigger issues than they can. Before you list, handle the small things that create, clean deeply, declutter, improve the lighting, address the obvious repairs, and make the home easy. Well, say yes. Mistake number 6 is limited access for show. The harder a home is to show, the fewer buyers. And that matters most in the first. Restricting showing windows require too much. Low responses to requests, declining too many showings, only allow limited weekend availability. All of it shrinks your buyer. Qualified buyers are often touring several homes in a short window. If yours is difficult to see, they're going to move right. Increased offer. Make showings as easy and reasonable as possible, especially during the first 7 to 10 days, because buyers access directly impacts buyer activity. Mistake number 7 is one most sellers misdiagnose. They think hiring an agent automatically fixes the problem. And sometimes it does, but only if the strategy actually changes. A different sign in your yard means nothing if the plan stays. What matters is the strategy behind your. So before you hire an agent, you should understand how the home will be priced, how it will be positioned, how it will be photographed, and how buyer agents will be reached, and how showings will be made. Also, how feedback will be, and how pricing adjustments will be handled, and how offers will be negotiated. If your plan's vague, the results will be vague too. A strong agent brings more than enthusiasm. A strong agent brings a clear process. So don't just ask an agent what they think you're. Ask them their specific strategy that they'll use to create demand to protect. That is a strategic plan that aligns with your end goal. And when these mistakes stack up, here's what sellers actually. Longer days on the market, fewer weak engagement, poor feedback, more stress, and multiple price reductions. It creates low buyer urgency, harder negotiations, and finally a lower sales price. The strongest sellers don't wait until the market pushes the listing. They prepare correctly, launch strategically, and respond. Because here's what successful Knoxville sellers, they price on the market data, they prepare the home before going live. They invest in strong online presentation. They make showings they launch with a clear plan, and they listen to feedback and adjust fast when the market sends. They understand that selling, it's not one decision. It's a series of decisions that either build. And here's the local truth from someone who sells in this market. Most seller mistakes, they're small decisions that compound. A price that's slightly too high, photos that don't create interest, and a launch that feels, or a showing schedule that's too restrictive, feedback that gets ignored or questions. In a market where buyers are comparing your home against every other option across West Knoxville, Harding Valley, maybe even Powell, Carnes, Oak Ridge, or Maryville, Bearden, or Halls, or all at once. Those small details decide whether your home wins. Your home doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be. And that's how we hold a 1.05 sales to list ratio and a 31-day average. It's a plan. It's not luck. It's being proactive. If you're getting your home ready to sell in Farragut, West Knoxville, Harding Valley, or anywhere in East, or your home is already on the market and you're not getting the activity, this is exactly the conversation I have with all my sellers before we have. The best time to solve a selling problem is before it becomes. So let's get ahead of the market. Reach me directly. I'm Chris Ball with Chris Ball with Keller Williams Realty right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And if this helped you, do me one favor. Subscribe and ring that bell, because we put out West Knoxville and East Tennessee selling strategies like this one every month. I will see you.